So, Chris, speaking of John Schneider, is he the manager next year? Has he done enough to be
Yeah,
past?
I
Yeah.
if it's me, yeah, I really like him. And again, I don't know him super well, but I just he it's the vibe. It's kind of the vibe I want from a manager. He's into it. He, I just like him. There's no other way to put it, and that's
Yeah.
not like a personal thing. I like the way he manages a baseball team. So they've seemed to perform with them. We all know the history with some of the position players. Yeah, I don't. I That's as close to a sure thing as barring some kind of epic collapse in the next kind of week to 10 days. But yeah,
Mhm.
to me, he's my manager next year.
We have some questions for you in the chat here too that kind of fit into what we're talking about. I know Northern Growler is asking, in your opinion, is Barrios in the starting pitching rotation or is he in the bullpen come the wild card series?
That's a good question. I don't know is the answer. Um,
Okay.
I I it The weird part is the comfort level that Stripling would have coming out of the pen if you need him. But I just, if Stripling keeps, you can argue he's already pitched well enough to make it not a decision. It's
Hmm.
to me, it's I fully acknowledge and understand anyone who says you're absolutely crazy if you think you want to start Barrios over Stripling, but just something about like yesterday, for example, I see Stripling getting away with middle fastballs and against like maybe it doesn't matter. Like maybe other guys are getting away with that stuff too. And he doesn't walk anyone and he does what's needed to put up results. I just for some reason something inside when I look at those two guys, like I think Barrios is more likely to give you 6 good innings in a playoff game. And even as I'm saying that, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And
Hmm.
I understand the other side of it. I understand that there's a perfectly
The
valid argument.
pushback, yes.
Yeah, like, but it's the way I feel about it. I feel like Barrios has something like that breaking ball is the best pitch among the two of them. You could argue Stripling's changeup, but I just object. Sorry, more so qualitatively. It's a more dominant pitch, if that makes sense. But and so between that and the fact that Stripling feels like he could come into the pen, like if let's say this in this scenario, if they were to start Brios in some deciding game 3 over Stripling, the leash would be incredibly short if they would lean that direction. And that's probably the less likelier choice that they're probably going to make. But if they were to go Brios, if they went Manoa and Gossman games 1 and 2, and then they got to that game 3, if they went Brios, Stripling would be the first guy. Like he would be sitting in that bullpen, and there would be camera shots of him the second Barrios gave up a run.
Yeah.
And you could see them going to him in the third inning and the fourth inning. Like, so I think it'd be like a 1A, 1B scenario in that. And I think also the other way, like if they went Manoa
Yeah.
Gossman, came to a deciding game 3, and they went with Stripling, Barrios would be in the pen that day, I think. And I think the leash would be incredibly short for Stripling in that space too, in a kind of do or die game. So I think it's a really interesting conversation. And as I said, I can see the other side of it. For some reason, I just think it might be Barrios.
Can I get really crazy here and ask a question beyond the wild card series?
Yes.
I
Yeah. Let's talk World Series. No.
I mean, for me, there's not much point winning the wild card series just to get swept by the Astros in the next round, anyways, right? But you got to get past the wild card series to get there, so I get that. But it would be nice to have Alek Manoah pitching twice against those Astros. So that's one
Yep.
part. If he doesn't pitch in the wild card series, That's a nice benefit to have him in game 1 and 5 against the Astros.
Yep. Yep.
We're going to need 4 starting pitchers through most of the playoffs, correct? So like Barrios is going to have to start.
Yeah, they're all, yeah. If you
Stripling
go
is going to have
rounds,
to start.
Yeah. Yep.
In the World Series, do we see a scenario where Alek Manoah pitches 3 times?
If it goes 7, yeah, like if modern baseball has shown us anything, he might not start 3 times, but if modern baseball has shown us anything in the Madison Bumgarner, Kershaw's,
all bets are off. Yeah.
Lance McCullers, yeah, once you get to a game 7 in a CS or a World Series or whatever, it's all hands on deck. Yeah. And even if it's your throw day, your side session is going to come on the mound in that game. Where we saw McCullers do it, we've seen Charlie Morton do it, we've seen like these guys, like, so yeah, like you get creative, and with good reason. Like that's what, like, there's no point in not using all your bullets and using your best pitchers. And if your best pitchers are starters, it doesn't matter. There's no, and even if it's not game 7, if it's game 6 and you're down 3-2, you win that game and figure out game 7 the next day. So yeah, but you're absolutely right in that you're going to need all 4 of them anyways. Like, it's fun to have that game 3 wildcard discussion, and it's a good discussion. But yeah, if you're expecting to go to the CS or whatever, you're going to use all 4 of them.
Awesome. Chris, honestly, thank you so much for your time, man. Do you have a few more minutes here can we squeeze a couple more questions in? Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Because I want to talk the AL Central, because there has been nothing but disrespect throwing on that division all season long. And if you look at the standings right now, though, those Cleveland Guardians are sitting at 86 and 67, the exact same.
All records are not created
as the Toronto
equal.
Blue Jays, right? So this Cleveland Guardians team, they're for real, right? Like, they've won 17 of their last 20 games. They just clinched the AL Central. Anybody overlooking them at this point? Are they being silly, or do you truly feel that maybe their youth and inexperience is putting them behind some of these other playoff teams?
I don't trust any team from a really weak division. Yes, they've got good pitching. Yes, they've got a really good manager. They're a good team. I get that. But in this unbalanced schedule world, if you're coming from either Central or even the NL East, there's just, if you get to knock around some poor teams 19 times a year, like, I don't view, and I view that division as really soft. So,
if you get to play the Tigers and the Royals 19 times,
yeah, it's so. Yes, they're good, and this is no one likes to hear this point either. They could also go win the World Series, and it wouldn't change my view. It wouldn't change my view of them. Baseball is the margins are so thin. There's so much randomness. There's so much luck in terms of when the bases are loaded and you hit a line drive with 2 outs. If you hit that line drive to the degree this much and it goes right at that fielder, or if you hit it in the other way and it goes into the gap, like, it's very, very random. And so that makes the playoffs very, very random. We then build our arguments based off what builds a winner, based off of who won. Like, it's just filled with confirmation bias. But so yeah, like, I view all these as like mild coin flips once we get into playoffs. So I do like them. They've got a lot of good pieces, but yeah, I don't think the biggest difference for me is lineup. Like, I think it's a really soft lineup. And as I said before, like, I think the Blue Jays easily have the best lineup in the AL, or maybe side by side with the Astros.
Mm-hmm. So now there's some interesting stats being posted in chat. Connor came in with the Guardians are 66 and 44 against teams under 500, and they're 20 and 23 against teams over 500, which also goes to your point, showing you how many times they're playing bad teams in that AL Central. And then he also says, for reference, the Jays have played 39 less games against teams under 500, which is
Yep.
wild. Yeah.
Yep.
That's substantial.
Get them out of this less balanced, less unbalanced schedule. Can't wait.
Me too. Like, just forget about the lack of good teams in certain divisions. I just, as a baseball fan, want to see the Jays play teams like the Padres and stuff more often. Like, you just don't get to see that very often with this unbalanced schedule, and I'm excited to watch them play teams that maybe sometimes you need to wait 2, 3, 4, 5 years to get them to play. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, let's wrap things up with a World Series prediction. Who do you have coming out of the National League, and who are they playing for the World Series coming out of the American League?
I'm going to pick Blue Jays for sure. I've got good vibes, man. I've got good vibes, and I just
love those vibes. Give them to us.
Yeah, I know. I like, even if it's not based purely in reality, the vibes feel good, and Manoah feels special to me, like I said before. NL, I'm not going to pick the Dodgers because that's boring. Let's go Mets. I like the vibes with the Mets, even though they're fading a bit. So you got to go off the board somehow. Yeah, like I really loved what the Padres did. They take such giant swings at the deadline, which is kind of like a kind of wake up call to all baseball fans. It's like, yeah, you can take big swings. They don't always work, but I respect the big swings. But yeah, to be honest, all signs point to Dodgers coming out of the NL. Their roster construction is just like they're built differently than everyone else. Like, not just 25 man, it's just somebody else. We were talking about this. It's just like all through their 40-man roster, they're built to like help your big league team win games.
I saw this yesterday. Their run differential, they're plus 322.
Yeah, like I don't want to pick them,
but that's insane.
This is me kind of picking them. Like,
yeah,
yes, if you're asking me to like put a wager down, I don't know how you go against them, though the odds would probably be horrible. But yeah, Blue Jays, Dodgers, Blue Jays, Mets, one of those two.
Love it. Honestly, Chris, thank you so much for your time, my man. I know that you're really busy today and that you kind of had to do some massaging to fit us in here, but it's truly appreciated, man. Hopefully we can have you back sometime.
Have me back anytime. Thanks a lot, guys.
Right on. Take care, bud.